The EcoHawk is sort of analogous to a small arm. A lot of times a pistol is enough to get you out of trouble, but to a Marine, a pistol is to get you to your long arm, your rifle or shotgun. And since you can't carry those around easily because of their weight and mass and size and other social things, pistol obviously has some native worth. So too, I argue, is the EcoHawk. It's 7 ounces. It's a lot lighter than anything comparable you could use after you half the EcoHawk. So it doesn't tend to stay in the truck. It comes with you, and when you need it, you go from having a small average knife to something that can really do a lot of work for you. Today's feature is regarding hafting of the EcoHawk in its most basic form, which is getting environmentally available materials such as a tree branch and hafting the EcoHawk in one of a few ways. You can haft a EcoHawk from the way I'm going to show you today up to a manufactured handle, of course. I'd like to emphasize today's lesson is use the weight of the haft to increase the force of the hawk and make it more useful, essentially, without being penalized for carrying a much heavier head than the 7-ounce EcoHawk. Think kukri blade. But there's also a scimitar type wrap that I'm going to do, or haft rather, and a inverted kukri haft, for lack of a better term at this time. Alright, should be pretty simple. Enjoy. The EcoHawk can be attached with screws, nails, which are one of my favorite, various lines and wires. But today what I'm going to do is show you a simple X pattern tie that can be done in seconds on just about any branch, improved or not, and cinched and then tightened with a lever. So keep that in mind. I'm going to show you probably the simplest way to put an EcoHawk on, short of nailing it to the side of a branch, and that is a simple X pattern cinch that has a tensioning device. For demonstrations I'm using a large nail, which happens to be something that I carry in my kit at times, but you can use a branch or a bunch of smaller branches and simply twist them. We'll show that later. But today's emphasis is on the simple X with a tensioning device used on a purposefully curved haft to make use of the haft's mass. The standard kukri craftsman type wrap with the head caving down is good for shaping, like if you were making a bow, and I'm showing that here with a 2x4 and this piece of cane, whatever it is. The inverted kukri style haft, if you'll notice, the bit is prevented to a point where the leading part of the head is the nexus bit. What that allows is greater penetration. It's really good if you're hogging off a lot of wood, which I don't show in this video, but if you're parting logs and things, which I don't recommend, you don't really need to do that for any survival circumstances that I've practiced or been in, but it certainly is probably the best, making use of the mass of the haft and the best way to take off a lot of wood with the EcoHawk bit itself, which is called the nexus bit in this case. You'll also note that the Tonto spike edge is pointed up That can act a lot as sort of a push knife for planing and things to a great advantage. The third style haft that we will show is the, I don't know what you would call it. It says melee to me. The scimitar is a style of sword that I'm very fond of, and I like swept blades. They tend to track a lot better. If you have a kukri, simply reverse it and feel how it moves, especially horizontally. Well, that's the case with this style too. And this is really a good way to haft your Eco Hawk if you are expecting battle. As you can see, the Tano spike is on the concave side, edge pointing down. It's great as a sort of a one-handed draw knife, although you can really hog off a lot of wood with it in a two-hand stance. Similar to the inverted kukri, the nexus bit is presented in such a way that it really digs, and that's why this is probably the most ideal way of hafting with the curved haft, improvised branch for battle. If you're expecting trouble and you whip that out, you should probably consider doing it this way. And with the speed of the X style wrap, coupled with, if you have a nail like I do, you can have a head spike on the thing too. You're going to be in business against a large group of people and win. You know, if you will do, it will do. As you can see, partially with this photograph, my thumb is lined up with the bit because the wood I selected for this demonstration is curved slightly off to the right, which meant all I had to do was plane a little bit off the side. Not really a necessary step, it just gives the wrap a little more idiot-proofness, which a guy like me always needs, and puts a face in which you can orient the Eco Hawk before you tie it up. When we're done, the Eco Hawk is going to look similar to this when it's on the improvised haft. The white part of the branch is shown to show you where I planed a little bit of material off to give it a flat edge to sit up against. You can see there's sort of a modified X pattern wrap. There's one going through the center slot, and it's going around and being tied in a knot, and then there's another one going around through the other slot and tied around the nail, point down, and then I crank the nail up and just tie it down. So suddenly you have a spike, and you go from a fairly secure Eco Hawk to a really hardcore hold on that. They can almost do it faster than I can demonstrate it. Here's the bottom wrap. Boom. This is what it looks like from behind. And this is about what it looks like quartering away. You can also haft the Eco Hawk on the improvised curved haft. As you see here, it's got two extra lines going through the holes. Those are stabilizers. You do the first primary wrap, and you do the stabilizers. You can knot it off before or after you do the stabilizers, or not at all if you're really good with your hands. I'd rather not fool with it. I usually just do a simple knot, and then you put the nail up there or the branch or whatever you're using and do the last wrap and turn it. It takes about that long to do. Besides typical tomahawk and larger chopper use, remember that you're only limited by your imagination. You can put more than one head on a haft, and the Eco Hawk becomes something that is more like a mace or a double bit axe or whatever you want. You can also use it as a harpoon. I'll show all these things. But meanwhile, nothing keeps you from just playing with yours and discovering things that I'll probably never discuss or even realize. And I hope you share those with us. Thanks for watching.